This was a story of a young slave named Jada. She was separated from her family when she was just a young little girl. I promised myself I wouldn't cry. Her master beats her 5 times a day. On a good day with a wooden spoon. She sleeps on the cold stone floor with no fire or blanket to keep her warm. Jada has been thinking of Runaway for a long time, but she just never has the courage to. Jada saw a shooting star.
Who be as free as that star? Too bad I'm stuck here as a slave. I should run away. But how?
Harriet Tubman was the most famous person to help runaway slaves. Her nickname was Little Black Moses. She made many trips through the Underground Railroad and saved around 300 people from slavery. She made many trips down south in search for her family that had been sold into slavery as she had. She was one of the most famous conductors of the Underground Railroad. She made many dangerous trips and even brought 11 people, including one of her sisters and husbands, out of Maryland into Canada, where they were saved. Another important woman figure in the Civil War was Mary Elizabeth Bowser. She was also like Harriet Tubman, who risked her life in helping the Union. Escape was difficult for slaves because they had to find information about where they were going, and they had to leave their family and friends behind. Also, if slaves were caught, then they had to face terrible punishment from their masters. Many areas in free states had safe houses, but the slaves had to reach them. The Underground Railroad aided African-American slaves to escape. There were designated houses in which slaves were safe and would be hidden. Slaves that were escaping had to make a big sacrifice in escaping their way to find assistance in getting into free land.
Should I not? Should I? Should I not? I should.
Stop in the name of slaves!
What you talking about? I ain't no slave.
I will catch you in your little bag, too. And a 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's go!
Now it's too late for you and your little dog to catch you now.
Jada approaches the Great Ohio River, and that's where she is able to lose the hunter for a second, until he breaks through the woods and spots her. Jada starts swimming across Ohio, fighting through the current. She turns around and sees that the slave hunter got hit in the head by her long-distance friend, Sharkeisha. Rebounding another slave, Sharkeisha, to show that, number one, slaves have personality of their own. Even though they typically couldn't show it, they showed a sense of style and everything else. Also, they are willing to risk their lives for each other. They wouldn't typically travel alone.
Sharkeisha, is that you? Running away. Are you running away too? Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
Sharkeisha and Jada ran off to the quilted house safely and eventually escaped to Canada. But some slaves, if they were caught by slave hunters, they were beaten with a whip. For example,
comes back.